Hello, and thanks for joining us from our studios in Israel. Coming up in today's newscast, Israel demands a memorial ceremony for the Israeli athletes killed in the 1972 Olympic Games. Israel takes major steps to tackle air pollution and will reveal an unusual festival that has dog lovers rushing to Tel Aviv. I'm Natasha Kirchuk here with the latest news in Israel. For many, the Olympics represent a time to celebrate unity and sportsmanship. But for others, they represent tragedy. In 1972, 11 Israeli athletes were killed at the Olympic Games, and now Israel is demanding a commemoration in their honor at each Games opening ceremony. On September 5, 1972, the Israeli Olympic team was taken hostage in the athletes' village in Munich, Germany, by Palestinian gunmen from the Black September group. Within just 24 hours, 11 Israelis, 5 Palestinians, and a German policeman were killed after a rescue effort erupted into gunfire. Since the tragic event, the relatives of those who were killed have been demanding a minute's silence at the opening ceremony of every Olympic Games, but they've been continuously turned down by the International Olympic Committee. Now, Israel's Sports and Culture Minister Miri Regev is calling for the IOC to remember the athletes by holding a special ceremony as well, claiming that until a commemoration is put in place, a black flag will continue to fly over the Olympics.
It is a tragedy that affects the entire world of sport. It is a tragedy for all who hold life dear. It is a tragedy for all who want to live without fear. And it is a tragedy for the International Olympic Committee, which will always have a black flag hanging over it. That is why this memorial ceremony must become an integral part of the opening ceremony of the Olympic Games.
For now, the International Olympic Committee has inaugurated a place of mourning for the victims of the terror attack, which features 2 stones from ancient Olympia encased in glass in the athletes' village. IOC President Thomas Bach led the first memorial ceremony for the athletes in Rio, and says a display will be included at every Olympics.
Commemorating the lives of those who have passed away is part of the bond that unites us all as humans. This is why moments of remembrance like the one today are so important. Through this sacred act of remembrance, the spirit of those who have departed continues to live on. We owe it to the memory of them to uphold the values they stood for. Terror will not win.
Yet Minister Miri Regev is claiming that the place of mourning is not enough to properly memorialize the athletes lost in the 1972 Munich Games.
However, this important ceremony is not enough. The grief for the Munich athletes does not belong only to the families. It does not belong only to Israel. It does not belong only to the Jewish people.
The whole world knows that Israeli judoka Ori Sasson defeated his badly behaved Egyptian rival at the Olympics. What may come as a surprise, though, is that Israeli high-tech innovation helped him bring home the bronze in Rio. Israeli entrepreneur and former judoka Aviv Chatzir is behind a special new analysis technology for athletes called Boost that's helped lead to many of the successes on Israel's judo team. Boost was supposed to be marketed later this year, but that all changed after Chatzir was urged to expedite the production of the system so it could be used by Israel's national judo delegation at the Olympics. The Boost chatbot utilizes artificial intelligence to provide insight about upcoming matches. First, an engine analyzes all available information from automatically and manually coded videos about the athletes themselves and their rival competitors that factors in elements such as physical characteristics and previous achievements. Algorithms that process the data are not only able to form precise profiles, highlighting the competitor's strong points and potential vulnerabilities, but also predict future patterns. The analytical tool is being described as a venture in which the startup nation meets the training mat. In Sasson's case, he knew his Egyptian competitor Islam al-Shahabi was likely to open the match with blows rather than classic judo moves. But unfortunately, no one knew his rival was such a bad loser and would refuse to shake Sasson's hand in such a demonstration of poor sportsmanship. Joining us now in the studio is Israeli track and field star Mayan Shahaf, who has made waves around the country with her high jumping skills. Thanks so much for coming in.
Thank you very much.
So, you're a 7-time Israeli champion. It's a big deal. What prevented you from going to the Olympics this year?
Unfortunately, I got injured a month ago before the European Championship. I was ready to jump there, to do the qualifying mark there. That was our plan all along, all this year, for that moment. And unfortunately, when we were on the airport, someone ran over my leg with a baggage cart.
Wow.
Yeah, so it wasn't fun and it was painful. And I tried to jump even though I couldn't. And that's it. So I'm here and my friends over there.
I mean, that must be so disappointing. How are you taking this? How are you kind of dealing with that?
I know like a lot of people ask me, why are you not getting angry? And I'm saying like, there is nothing I can do about it. I got injured, and if I got mad, what would it give me? Nothing. So I'm taking it in. Of course, I was disappointed. More than angry, I was disappointed about it. And I just want to like, accepted it. There is nothing more actually to do except for like getting ready for next year.
Well, now you can start thinking about, I mean, it gives you a chance to really focus on the other people who are performing in the Olympics and kind of root for them even stronger because you're not able to be there with them, I guess. So speaking of that, how should we be feeling about Israel's performance right now? We've taken home 2 bronzes.
Yes.
Is this a big deal? Tell us about how this compares to other Olympics.
Actually, I think it's not over yet, but for now, I think it's one of the best Olympic Games that Israel. First of all, it's like the biggest
delegation.
Yeah, like 47 athletes, and 2 bronze for now. And in judo, we have one more 5th place and 7th place. And yesterday night, Hannah Kniazewa-Minenko jumped in the triple jump, 5th place in track and field. It's like amazing. There is nothing like it. Track and field, it's the queen of sport.
Yeah.
And she finished in 5th place. So, and it brings a lot of people. And now, like, people see the Olympic Games, children, and they're like, I want to go to judo. I want to go to track and field. So maybe from there, like in 20 years, someone of them will take medal as well.
Absolutely. I mean, it's been such an inspiration to so many young people around this country. And I want to ask you about who we should be looking for in the future, because there are still more sports that we're going to be competing in. So before we get there, though, I want to talk a little bit about, the Olympics. It's a symbol of international unity, but we've seen some not so pleasant encounters take place so far. Ulrich Sasson not getting his hand shaken by this Egyptian competitor. Is it common for this to happen, for Israel to have such, unpleasant encounters with people?
Yes, unfortunately, yes. More of I know in badminton, Misha had a championship in Doha, and they didn't want to give him an entry in the country because it's from Israel. So it happens. We hear like a lot of Arab countries like doing problems. But actually, I know it will be kind of surprising of saying that, but I really appreciate the Egyptian judoka to even go up. I know it sounds like crazy, but he had a lot of pressure from journalists in his country that say, "Don't go up. If you go up, we don't want you here." A lot of like negativity, even like he came up and fought. Okay, he lost, but he came out and he fight against Israel. But from the other side, if you get up, shake the hand. It's like you did half the work. I wonder if he would win if he did shake his hand or not.
Yeah, it's interesting to think
about
that.
This is interesting, like, because now it's like because he won or because he's from Israel. Although obviously it's because Ori Sasson is from Israel, because he did shake other people's hand when he lost.
Right.
But Ori did what he needed to do. You know, you take a bowl. It doesn't matter if you win or you lose. You take a bowl, shake the hands, and he didn't do it. And it's sad a little bit, because why not? You're there. It's the Olympic. You don't need to mix sport with politics. We have a lot of it outside of that.
Yeah, but that's unfortunately, I guess, a reality that we're seeing, is that people are not able to distinguish these two things. But moving on to a happier topic, you know, we still have a lot to look forward to this Olympics. Which Israeli athletes should we now be looking out for?
I think in the wrestling, we have Ilana Kartish. She's in the next few days. She's supposed to go fight. I think if she will have a good day, she actually can take a medal. We have a lot of young people that yet to come. Like, we have the rhythmic gymnastic now.
I love the rhythmic gymnastics.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Of course, Neta Rifkin and the group, the gymnastic group, they're coming up. They won so many World Cups and European Cups. Third place, first place. Like, they're crazy good. And there's someone to look for. I think they have a good chance to bring one more medal for Israel, and even a higher place than bronze.
Yeah, well, we're just going to have to look forward and see
Yes.
if there's a silver or a gold in our near future. Thank you so much for coming in, and
Thank
good
you.
luck for the next Olympics.
Yes.
Hopefully you'll make it then.
4 more years.
4 more years.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. The Israeli government has authorized a major plan to reduce air pollution in the Jewish state, and the environmental ministry claims it will prevent hundreds of premature deaths per year. 260 million more shekels have now been granted towards curbing greenhouse gas emissions, meaning the Environmental Protection Ministry now will have about 1.4 billion shekels to combat the issue. Israel's new 2-year reduction program will focus on transportation, and investments are being made to eliminate diesel trucks, encourage vehicle scrapping, and give subsidies for particulate filter installations. The ministry claims the plan will prevent hundreds of premature deaths per year, while simultaneously encouraging economic growth. 80,000 aging diesel cars will now be forcibly removed from the roads because the owners of the vehicles will receive government grants for disposing of them. For others, the government will offer subsidies to install particulate filters that reduce about 97% of the contamination released from vehicles. Even though diesel trucks and buses only make up 20% of kilometers traveled in Israel, they're actually responsible for 80% of the country's vehicular air pollution. The new budget is now planning to establish clean air zones within the boundaries of Israel's major cities, and the first will be established in Haifa in January of 2017. Israel is hoping to reduce its greenhouse gas emissions by 25% and make renewable energy resources responsible for 17% of the country's electricity usage by 2030. Israelis may have to start getting prepared to say goodbye to their beloved cars, because Israel is hoping to decrease private vehicle usage by 20%. If Donald Trump becomes president, will he pose a major threat to the free world? Times of Israel editor David Horowitz seems to think so, and he sat down with ILTV's Steve Leibowitz to talk about why.
It's quite striking that so many people would be prepared to entrust the future of their country to somebody who you don't really know what he might do with it. You know, in Israel, if we had political candidates, I mean, we do have political candidates who can be very blunt and who can be self-contradictory and who can, you know, come out on one side of a dispute on one day and the other side on the other day. I don't think we've had people like that running the country yet. I mean, I think we've all had prime ministers in Israel who we've been critical of, but I don't think we've had prime ministers in Israel where you really had no idea what they were going to do the next day and that they might do the opposite the day after. I think the stakes here for us are greater. In other words, I think if you have a prime minister who's a disaster here, you have existential consequences. And I think in America, if you have a president who's a disaster, you have dramatic, but not necessarily existential consequences. But dramatic consequences for the United States, of course, you know, that's big news. And that has tremendous impact for the rest of the world. And I think Israelis are sitting here looking at this, and I think there's a fair amount of, oh my goodness, what is going on there?
Should we be concerned by some of the symbolism that has been used specifically in the Trump campaign America First as a slogan, Make America Great Again, the Jewish star that was placed behind Hillary Clinton and later removed, plus the atmosphere of this campaign against the backdrop of all of the rioting and violence that's been going on between police officers and very often, black youth in the United States. A Trump presidency could theoretically spiral America into something out of control, or am I just looking at it from far away and exaggerating?
Look, you have a continuum here. You have, Trump didn't come out of nowhere, and he didn't gain as much support as he did out of nowhere. You have so much dissatisfaction with what has gone before. But I think the cumulative concerns are rising now to a worrying level. Do I think any of the star of the Magen David, the Star of David on the Clinton tweet, explained by Trump as well, is really a sheriff star, and even things like some plagiarism in a speech. There are lots of little things, and maybe none of them individually is, oh my goodness, this is just horrific. But I think the cumulative impact is worrying. The cumulative impact, again, of a campaign led by somebody who ultimately, I have no idea what he would do as president. He's making comments about the commitment to NATO, talking about screening people from France last night. I don't know what he's capable of doing next. Now, I'm not saying that leadership hitherto has been, entirely to my taste, because anyone who reads anything that I've written, I think the Iran deal, for example, I think the Obama administration's take on Israeli-Palestinian possibilities has been at odds with my sense of reality here and so on. But I think we're in a different league of concern and unpredictability. And do we worry about what's happening internally in America? I think we worry about the world. I think we worry about a world in which Islamic extremism is becoming like a daily a terrorist concern, right? Where you go to bed one night and you wake up in the morning and there's a fair likelihood that somewhere quite near to us or in Europe or in North America something terrible has happened because of jihadi terrorism. Then, like you say, you have frictions within the United States, and really what we need, what the world needs, and what America as the leader of the free world needs most of all, I think, is calm, serious leadership, not shooting from the lip, not I can fix this in 2 sentences kinds of policy, because you can't fix this. You can actually set out the agenda quite clearly and articulately, but you need serious policy. How are you going to tackle, for example, the rise of Islamic extremism? When they're trying to kill you, obviously you have to stop them, but how are you going to stop the creation of the further ranks of killers, the teenagers who are being radicalized and so on? That requires serious long-term strategy. It requires interaction with your partners around the world who are facing the same kinds of concerns. You need to get your heads together. You need to be able to trust each other. You need to be able to exchange information. You need to totally revamp the way people are being educated in terms of spiritual leadership, in terms of social media and so on. This needs coherent leadership. This needs people who are who I think, I don't have anything wrong in saying, folks, we have to take this threat of Islamic extremism more seriously. Our citizens are being threatened, and so are people all over the world. We can't carry on the way that we've been dealing with this. I think that's fine. I think a few soundbite sentences of your goal is fine, but behind that you need strategy, and you need diplomacy, and you need interaction, and you need trust, and the signs are that the Trump campaign has not given sufficient signs of coherence and of strategic thought. That's incredibly worrying.
You may not know it, but lots of Hollywood actors have gotten their start in improv, from Tina Fey to Seth Meyers, and now Israelis want in. Joining us today in the studio is Itamar Karbian and Uri Lifshitz, who have founded one of the first improv schools in the Holy Land. Thanks for coming in, guys.
Thank you, Natasha.
So, let's start out with what inspired you to start doing improv?
Well, in the first place, it was pretty much exactly what you said. The fact that we really like American comedy, and it kind of, we understood over the years that more and more of the people we like Tina Fey, like Steve Carell and Stephen Colbert and other American comedians, got their start in improv.
Also, a lot of stuff that you do for your own pleasure and fun, games you play with friends, you suddenly discover, oh, apparently that's improv. That's actually collaborative storytelling. That's not just a weird thing you do when you're drunk.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, improv, I've always been so fascinated by people who have the ability to do improv. It seems so difficult to me. I mean, what are the themes that you guys focus on when you're doing performances?
Wow, we do a whole range of issues, and we have this new format nowadays called Everyday Magic, based on the works of Edgar Keret, a very famous Israeli writer, in which we take everyday situation and we put in a little bit of magic, something fantastical into them, and see how people would have used that to counter everyday problems and
So
events
give me an
in their life.
example of this. What does that look like?
Oh wow, just last week
Yeah,
we
just our last
performed.
show was, it's a very good example because we actually improvised the whole play, about 50 minutes, totally improvised, that was based on suggestions from the audience, which matured into a story that dealt with parenting and a couple in which the wife is pregnant and they're stressed about the baby coming out. The fantastical element that was injected into the situation was the fact that the baby kept growing in the stomach.
Yeah, they decided
and
not to have a birth,
just,
period.
just never got out of the mother and just continued growing up, becoming an adolescent and then a grown up and going on to study and get a job.
Funding his own
I'm trying to
startup
imagine in
company.
my head what that looked like when you guys were performing this on the stage. Were either of you the baby?
Well,
Neither
actually,
of
no.
us, no. Neither of us had the pleasure of being the baby, but it worked. Well, you know, usually we say you had to be there, which is
Well, yeah,
usually
so
true.
that's the thing. Can you see repeat performances? Is this a play that I could see again, or is it every show
Unfortunately,
different?
no. Every
That's
show
what's
is
so
completely
amazing.
different. Well, I like to think of improv as a transitory art. You know, you create it in that moment, and after that, it is gone forever. That is the most beautiful thing about improv and the most terrible thing about it.
That's true.
Absolutely, yeah.
it
You
will
can't
never
say
happen again.
right. You can't save the exact moment, but it's amazing to watch. So, you guys actually founded an improv school, one of the first here in Israel. Tell us about what you guys offer.
Well, we do plenty of courses. We're part of a group, an ensemble called Lama Bati, which for our English speaker, I would guess, would translate into, why did I come here? Why?
Lama Bati, yeah,
Yes.
got it. There we go.
So we basically teach improv courses in Tel Aviv and in Jerusalem, and also English courses here in Tel Aviv. And it's an amazing amount of fun, because for me, improv is more than just a performing art. It's a way to improve yourself as a person. I mean, one of the basic things we work on in improv is being attentive to other people, trying to support other people, to yes and, as we call it. Someone makes a suggestion on stage, you accept that suggestion, you add to it. Someone said, hey, we'll live in a castle. You wouldn't say, no, that's ridiculous. You're going to say, amazing, our castle is used. We probably have a moat, alligators, a fun fair, why not?
So it's about seeing reality almost in a different way. That's what's so beautiful about this. So, you know, your performances and workshops, are they geared towards Israelis or also foreigners? What languages can you take these classes in?
Well, most of our performances are in Hebrew, but we try to face the Americans, many English speakers, and in both
Right.
Jerusalem and Tel Aviv. And we try to host friends from the European and American improv scene, which is huge and also growing almost as fast as the Israeli scene is. And several times a year, we'll be hosting someone to give an English workshop and do an English performance with us.
Well, I myself teach an English workshop every week, and it's amazing because you get to work with people who may not know Hebrew, who may have Hebrew as a second language or English as a second language, and you combine all these people and they all try to support and help each other to create something amazing on stage.
Yeah, I can only imagine. I mean, be able to cross borders too, when people have all these different experiences, it must be even more special to kind of bring those together in one place. So, you know, finally, we're going to have to end our interview very soon, but I would first like to ask you guys, what was the funniest improv scene you have acted out?
The funniest scene.
Well, I think in our second show ever, we were performing at this huge place, and the audience looking, and one of us is playing a teacher, and he's standing in front of the stage and saying, well, I'm going to teach these kids a lesson. And the minute he turned, I mean, we're all on the side, He turned and everyone are already in position, sitting as if they're students, waiting for the show to begin. For me, that was magic, because it's as if we had no way of knowing what he's going to do, but somehow we knew. We were ready for it.
Wow.
I have to add one more thing. He went like way back, several years to our second performance. I'm gonna take one just from our last show last week, where we did this play about the pregnancy that won't end and the child grows in the stomach. I'm just gonna describe really quickly the last scene of this play, in which the son is in the stomach with his wife that joined him in the womb and built a house with him in there, and got pregnant inside the son's mother. There's a pregnancy inside a pregnancy. And I'd like to say that the show ended in a double labor, the first probably ever in the world double labor at the same time. Everything came out of the mother, and the wife of the son went into labor at the same time and gave birth to the grandson.
So basically, if you want to see something that you will never, ever see anywhere else,
and that nobody else will ever see,
then you should come to Lamabati, this amazing school, which offers beautiful performances as well. Well, thank you guys so much for coming in.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you. If you're a dog lover, you'll love this story. Did you know that Tel Aviv has the most dogs per person in the world? Well, this week Israel is planning on celebrating this fun fact with a special festival held in honor of Israel's furry friends. According to the municipality of Tel Aviv, there are around 25,000 dogs in the city, meaning about 1 dog per 17 residents. Now, Tel Aviv Jaffa will be holding its first ever festival of dogs known as Klaviv on Friday. The dog-loving event will include an adoption corner for those who are looking to take home a doggy, as well as information stalls on how to better take care of your pup. From lectures on the animal's emotions to training sessions to high-tech for dogs, you'll have an entire day to figure out how to better connect with your furry friend. Plus, you can even get your dog a haircut at the event's grooming station while you're stocking up on information. Over the last few years, the Tel Aviv Jaffa municipality has created 70 dog parks and corners that include playground equipment for dogs, drinking stations, and even beaches for them to run free. Best of all, many restaurants, cafes, and offices in Tel Aviv are also dog-friendly, and even Ben Gurion Airport has a dog lounge. But if you want to spend a special day with your four-legged friend, just head to Tel Aviv's newest dog festival in the city's Bnei Dan Park on August 26, which is set to last all day long. And now for our Hebrew word of the day. There's nothing like a furry friend to cheer you up, so today's word is chatul, which means cat. I know they say that a dog is a man's best friend, but why can't cats be also? Here in Israel, chatulim or cats rule the streets. In the United States, if you see a stray chatul wandering around, people make a scene to try to help it, but here in Israel, that's not exactly the case. There are an estimated 39,000 feral cats living in Tel Aviv. That's about 1 chatul for every 10 people. So if you come to Israel and you're wondering if you can pet a chatul on the street, just take a look at its ear. If the corner is clipped off, the cat has been vaccinated and fixed, and it's safe to touch. And if you want to give even more love, just put out a plate of food and water, and your chatul is sure to become a loyal friend. Let's go ahead and take a look at the weather forecast. Tuesday is expected to be partly cloudy with a high of 84 degrees. The sun should come back out on Wednesday, but the temperature will stay the same. All right, everybody, that's it for today's news. Today's exchange rate is 3.81 shekels to the American dollar. Remember to sign up for our daily newsletter at iltv.tv, and don't forget to check out our next update at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Thanks for watching, and see you tonight.